You're about to confront a brutal truth most men die never knowing. A silent battle that defines their relationships and their self-worth. If a woman in your life, a new interest, a long-term partner, or even a friend you're hoping for more with, is suddenly ghosting, pulling away, acting cold, or treating you like you're invisible, understand this: it's not a mystery. It's not a random cosmic event. It is, almost without exception, a test. And here's the kicker: most men fail this test before they even realize they're being graded. They panic. They chase. They become the emotional equivalent of a loyal, but desperate, golden retriever begging for scraps. And in doing so, they not only fail the test but actively destroy the very attraction they're desperate to save. But you're different. You're here because you intuitively sense there's another way. A path to reclaiming your power, your peace, and paradoxically, her attention, not by begging, not by manipulation, but by simply being undeniably yourself, a man of unwavering strength and integrity. This isn't some abstract theory. This is the cold, hard, psychological reality of female dynamics. When a woman pulls back, she already knows what she's doing. She's not confused. She's not just busy in a way that suddenly makes her forget your existence. She's observing. She's waiting. She's subconsciously, and sometimes very consciously, seeing if you'll confirm her deepest suspicion, that you're just like every other man who crumbles under silence, who becomes insecure and frantic when his supply of attention is cut off. She wants to see if you'll chase, if you'll grovel, if you'll sacrifice your self-respect for a crumb of her attention. And what do most men do? Oh, they walk right into that trap, time and time again. They flood her inbox with desperate texts. They apologize for imagined slights. They morph into an unrecognizable needy version of themselves, a shadow of the confident man she might have initially been attracted to. They respond to distance with a suffocating embrace, clinging tighter, not realizing that every frantic attempt to pull her closer is actually pushing her further away. They become the option while she sits comfortably as the prize, validating her sense of power and diminishing yours. And once that toxic dynamic is established, you're not just losing attraction. You're losing yourself, piece by agonizing piece. Now, before you think this is about playing emotional games, or being cruel, or adopting some manufactured persona, understand this: it's profoundly about self-mastery. It's about recognizing the intricate psychological dance that plays out in almost every relationship dynamic and choosing, unequivocally, to lead, not follow. It's about understanding that a woman doesn't truly respect a man who can be easily had, but one who deeply knows his worth, maintains his frame under pressure, and refuses to compromise his core standards for anyone, especially someone who is actively demonstrating disrespect. This isn't about manipulation. It's about reclaiming your inherent masculine power, your authentic self, and operating from a place of abundance and self-worth, rather than scarcity and fear. This video will arm you with the mental framework and the actionable strategies to not just survive these moments, but to thrive in them, emerging stronger, more centered, and more attractive than ever before. Let's dissect the exact strategies that separate the boys who panic from the men who rise, thrive, and ultimately command respect. 1. Kill the urge to text first. Completely. Let the silence. She created echo. This is ground zero. This is where 99% of men sabotage themselves, not just with this specific woman, but in establishing a pattern of reactive, insecure behavior. She pulls away. She stops texting as much. Her replies become brief, delayed, or non-existent. And what is the immediate, almost involuntary, male instinct? To barrage her with texts, to flood her inbox, to try and revive a dying conversation through sheer force of will. How's your day going? Just thinking of you. Miss you. Hope everything's okay. You've been quiet. These aren't expressions of genuine care at this stage. They are desperate pleas for attention. You're essentially handing her a megaphone to announce how desperate you are, how dependent you are on her response to feel stable. Let's get brutally honest. If she truly wanted to talk to you, if she was genuinely interested in connecting, she would. Period. There is no mystery here. Modern communication makes it easier than ever to reach out. Her silence is a message. Her delayed responses are a message. Her lack of initiative is a message. When you text first after she starts pulling away, you are not showing care. You are showing that you are still wrapped around her finger, that your emotional state is dictated by her availability. You are confirming her belief that she can treat you as an afterthought, as an option, and you'll still come running, chasing after her validation. But imagine, just for a moment, if you did the opposite. What if you went utterly silent? No texts. No likes on her social media posts. No checking in. No attempts to bridge the gap she created. Nothing. Suddenly, the entire script flips. The power dynamic shifts so dramatically, it's almost palpable. She starts to wonder. Why isn't he checking in? Has he moved on? Does he even care? Her initial curiosity turns into genuine concern, then potentially regret. Your silence, the space you create, becomes louder and more impactful than any text message you could ever send. You're not playing childish games. You're enforcing a fundamental boundary of self-respect. You are demonstrating, non-verbally, that your time, your attention, and your emotional energy are not cheap commodities to be given away freely to someone who isn't reciprocating. Understand this. Distance should always be met with greater distance. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of unwavering self-respect. You are reflecting her energy. If she gives you crumbs, you don't offer a feast. You offer nothing. This isn't about making her miss you, though that often happens as a side effect. It's about protecting your own peace and establishing your value. If a little silence can make her forget you, if your lack of chasing is enough to end things, then she was never truly invested in the first place. You're not losing something real. You're shedding an illusion. Your job isn't to beg for her presence or convince her of your worth. It's to cultivate a life so compelling, so abundant, that your absence is acutely felt, not just tolerated or unnoticed. A man who values himself doesn't chase. He sets a standard and observes who chooses to meet him there. 2. Never, under any circumstance, ask her what's wrong. That question screams weakness. This is another critical misstep, a common pitfall. That strips away a man's power faster than almost anything else. The moment you ask a woman, what's wrong? After she starts acting cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable, you're not expressing care in a way that commands respect. You are screaming, I'm confused, I'm insecure, and I need you to validate my existence and explain your behavior so I can feel okay again. This question, innocuous as it may seem, immediately places her in the position of authority over your emotional state. You're telling her, explicitly, that you're not leading. You're following. You're signaling that her vague emotional withdrawal has the power to unravel you, to send you into a spiral of anxiety and self-doubt. And worst of all, it tells her she is in absolute control of the emotional dynamic, holding the keys to your peace of mind. That's not attractive. That's not strong. That's certainly not what high-value men do. Let's be clear. It's not wrong to care. It's not wrong to be attuned to someone you're interested in. But there's a universe of difference between checking in from a place of secure strength and seeking validation from a place of desperate insecurity. When you ask a woman, is something wrong? You're attempting to extract answers that she doesn't want to give you, or perhaps doesn't even fully understand herself. And here's the brutal truth nobody wants to say. If a woman genuinely wants to talk to you about something, if she has a real problem or a genuine concern, she will. She won't wait for you to pull the truth out of her like a detective. She won't make you walk on eggshells, trying to decode her moods or play mind reader. When she's distant and you start begging for answers, you just end up looking like you don't understand the game at all. Because here's another uncomfortable truth. Women, sometimes unconsciously, sometimes very deliberately, use silence and emotional withdrawal as a form of control. They want you to notice the shift. They want you to wonder. They want you to feel uncertain and anxious. And when you ask what's wrong, you've swallowed the bait, hook, line, and sinker. You've entered the frame she created, where you are reacting, and she is leading. This isn't an endorsement for you to become cold or emotionally unavailable yourself. On the contrary, it means you stop rewarding unclear behavior with your clear, focused attention. Let her bring the issue to the table when she's ready. Let her speak when she feels compelled. Let her feel the natural consequences of creating emotional distance in the relationship. Because here's something most men don't realize. Asking, "What's wrong?" won't fix the problem. It only magnifies it, turning a potential speed bump into a catastrophic crash. Even if she gives you an answer, "I just need space. I'm confused. I'm not feeling it," what then? You'll likely start negotiating, trying to make it work, trying to convince her to feel differently. That's not power. That's desperate begging. Consider Tony. He was seeing a woman for months, and everything was electric. Calls, dates, passionate connection. Then a sudden chilling shift. Replies became sparse, delayed, devoid of warmth. Tony panicked. He sent a lengthy, heartfelt message. "Hey, I feel like something's off lately. Is something wrong? Did I do something? I just want to understand." Her reply was terse. "I'm just figuring some things out right now. I'll talk to you later." She never did. No block, no explanation, just a slow, quiet fade. That message didn't bring them closer. It confirmed her suspicion. Tony was too emotionally dependent, too easily rattled. Imagine if Tony had simply matched her energy. No questions. Just silence. That silence would have spoken volumes, forcing her to wonder, why isn't he asking? Why isn't he chasing? Does he even care? That is the profound magnetic power of non-reactivity. That is the strength of a man who values himself first. A man with options doesn't chase explanations. He observes, he matches energy, and he fiercely protects his peace. Your self-worth isn't up for negotiation. And you don't need a woman's emotional state to dictate yours. 3. Laser focus on yourself. Not on winning her back. The moment she becomes your sole mission, you lose your mission. This is a deep dive into the male psyche and where true power resides. The moment you make her, or any external validation, your primary goal, you inevitably lose yourself. And once you lose yourself, that unique, driven, confident man she was initially attracted to, she inevitably loses interest, and fast. When a woman distances herself, an epidemic of men slips into panic mode. They start overthinking, overanalyzing, dissecting every past interaction, and obsessing over one singular self-defeating question: how do I get her back? But let's hit the brakes right there. Why is your first knee-jerk reaction to chase someone who actively pulled away from you? Why is your instinct to prove your worth to someone who just made you feel unwanted or unimportant? Let's be brutally honest. This initial impulse isn't about love. It's not even primarily about her. It's about your ego. It's about the primal need to feel chosen again, to restore a perceived imbalance. And that's precisely where you go catastrophically wrong. Because instead of focusing on the one thing you can control, yourself, you become completely consumed by her absence. You start spiraling, obsessively checking her social media, rereading old messages, dissecting every word, wondering what you did wrong, and waiting for that one notification that more often than not never comes. And while you're stuck in that debilitating mental loop, Burning through your mental and emotional resources, she's watching. Oh yes, she's watching. She sees the silence, or she notices your frantic reactions. Subconsciously, she's asking herself, is he going to crumble and chase me, or is he going to stay grounded in his own world? Most men, bless their hearts, fail this critical test. They send the text to check in. They drop the passive-aggressive likes or stories to get attention. They pretend to be okay while secretly falling apart. But you must move differently. Because this moment, this emotional gap, this period of uncertainty, is the crucible where attraction is either irrevocably destroyed or powerfully rebuilt. And here's the truth no one tells you. You don't rebuild attraction by convincing her of your worth. You rebuild it by becoming so undeniably better without her that she can't help but notice. That means you stop looking for signs of her return. You stop measuring your worth through her responses or lack thereof. You stop making her the center of your universe. Instead, you start asking yourself real, potent questions. How's my mental focus? Am I sharpening my skills? Am I prioritizing my physical fitness, my health, my energy? Have I been creative lately? What am I building for myself, for my legacy? You start treating your life with the same intensity, attention, effort, and consistency that you were mistakenly pouring into chasing her. Because women don't return to the guy who begged and pleaded. They return to the man who leveled up, who built an empire of self-improvement while they were gone. You want to shift the energy? Stop waiting for her message, her approval, her return. Start living like it doesn't matter whether it comes or not. That's not cold. That's clarity. That's not ego. That's self-respect. And when you genuinely, authentically begin focusing on yourself, two incredibly powerful things happen. First, you feel stronger. Your mind clears. Your emotions stabilize. You stop depending on external validation to feel okay. You become self-sufficient. Second, she feels the shift. Whether she admits it or not, your emotional detachment, your renewed focus on your own mission, hits differently. It creates mystery. It builds curiosity. It makes her question her decision. But here's the absolutely crucial key. You're not doing it to get her back. You're doing it because it's what you should have been doing all along, building an epic life for yourself. So stop letting her distance define your day. Stop treating her silence like a crisis. Stop chasing closure in someone who already told you everything you needed to know by how she pulled away. Shift the focus from her to you. Because when you focus on yourself, you stop playing petty emotional games and you start winning in real life, where it actually counts. 4. Stop being nice. Be unavailable. Respect is earned, not given for being a doormat. Let's talk about something that stings, but needs to be heard with absolute clarity. Being nice isn't the problem. Being too available, being easily accessible, being predictable, that is the problem. A vast number of men confuse genuine kindness with emotional simplicity. They operate under the misguided belief that if they are always kind, always responsive, always ready to fix things, always going above and beyond, then she magically realizes how good they are and come running back. Grateful for their devotion. Wrong. That's a fantasy. In reality, when a woman starts distancing herself, and you respond by showering her with even more attention, more softness, more emotional effort, you don't look nice. You look weak. You look like a man who doesn't know how to say no, who lacks boundaries. You look like a man who will tolerate inconsistent, disrespectful behavior just to stay in her orbit. And that doesn't inspire love. It doesn't inspire burning attraction. It inspires boredom and eventually contempt. Let's be brutally honest. Women don't generally leave men who respect themselves. They leave men who become too predictable, too needy, too emotionally soft, and yes, too nice in the wrong way. What does this nice guy behavior usually look like in these situations? You reply instantly every single time, even when she takes hours or days to respond. You cancel your own plans for her, even though you know she wouldn't do the same for you. You tolerate emotional coldness, ghosting, flakiness, or disrespect, always hoping she eventually warm up again. That's not kindness, my friend. That is fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of being alone. Fear of not being chosen. Wake up, man. You are not here to be her emotional punching bag. You are not her backup plan, her convenient option. You are not some forlorn puppy waiting by the door, hoping she comes home to toss you a bone. You are a man. And if you want to be treated like one, you need to act like one. And that absolutely starts with becoming unavailable, not fake unavailable. Not playing silly mind games or manufactured hard to get, but genuinely, authentically unavailable. Unavailable for weak communication. Unavailable for emotional inconsistency. Unavailable for anything that detracts from your focus on your mission, your purpose, your peace. This means becoming genuinely focused on your time, your energy, and your self-respect. Because when you're truly unavailable for weak, inconsistent, or disrespectful behavior, everything changes. Suddenly, you don't reply right away. Not because you're playing a game, but because you're genuinely engaged in something more important than waiting for her text, your work, your hobbies, your growth, your friends. Suddenly, you're not canceling your plans for her because you have a vibrant, meaningful life that matters. You're not constantly checking in because you're not obsessed with staying on her radar. You're obsessed with your own progress. And guess what? That's precisely when she starts paying attention again. Not because you forced it, but because you gracefully reminded her that your world does not, and never will, revolve around her presence. Men need to stop thinking that being the nice guy means being overly available and emotionally porous. Start understanding that genuine mystery creates potent attraction, and unwavering standards create profound respect. It's perfectly okay to be kind, to be genuine, to be empathetic. But if your kindness is being weaponized against you, if it's being used to extract free emotional labor or to keep you on a leash, then it's not kindness anymore. It's weakness disguised as love. So here's your challenge. Stop over-explaining. Stop over-offering. Stop being available to people who aren't emotionally available to you. Let her feel your absence. Let her feel the shift in energy. Let her realize what she's actually losing when you stop showing up every single time she goes quiet. Because temporary attention might get her for a moment. But consistent, unwavering self-respect, that's what makes her stay, or better yet, respect your decision to walk away. 5. Be ready to walk away. For real, no woman is worth losing your self-respect. This is the most challenging truth. The part most men desperately want to avoid. But it is the non-negotiable bedrock of masculine integrity. Sometimes walking away is not just an option. It is the only way to truly win, not just her back, but yourself. When a woman distances herself, when she ignores you, when she treats you like an option, your deepest instinct might be to hold on tighter, to do whatever it takes, to sacrifice everything to bring her back into your orbit. But here's the brutal reality. If she's consistently pulling away, if she's ignoring your efforts, if she's showing consistent disinterest or disrespect, then chasing her will only cost you one thing that is more precious than any relationship: your dignity. No relationship, no connection, no amount of perceived affection is worth losing your self-respect over. You must internalize, with every fiber of your being, your inherent value as a man. And that means knowing, unequivocally, when to hold your ground and when to gracefully, decisively walk away. Walking away doesn't mean giving up. It means you are choosing yourself above uncertainty, above confusion, above emotional chaos. It means you are declaring, with your actions, I deserve better than to be ignored, played, or taken for granted. Too many men waste months, even years, of their precious lives chasing someone who is emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, or simply not interested in a genuine connection. They sacrifice their happiness, their time, their dreams, their confidence, all for a woman who consistently fails to appreciate their efforts or reciprocate their energy. And here's the most devastating truth. She won't come running back just because you stayed, just because you endured, just because you absorbed her disrespect. On the contrary, real respect, the kind that forms the foundation of any truly great relationship, comes from being willing to leave. Because a man who can genuinely, authentically walk away is a man who truly owns his power. He doesn't threaten. He doesn't beg. He simply demonstrates, through his actions, that he is not desperate, that his life is abundant, and that his standards are non-negotiable. And when you do that, when you cultivate that readiness to walk away, you create space for something profoundly better. Whether that something better is her realizing what she lost and returning with renewed effort and respect, or it is you finding someone else who actually values, appreciates, and chooses you without hesitation. So the question isn't, how do I get her back? The profound life-altering question is, am I willing to walk away if I don't get the respect, clarity, and reciprocal effort I deserve? If the answer is an honest, resounding yes, then you have already won the most important battle, the battle for your own peace, your own confidence, and your own self-respect. These are priceless. Remember this. Engrave it into your very soul. No woman, no external circumstance, should ever have the power to make you feel small, unworthy, or less than the incredible man you are. If she distances herself, if she ignores you, if she treats you like an option rather than a priority, be ready to walk away. Not because you want to lose her, but because you value yourself enough to never, ever settle for less than you deserve. The hard truth, the one most men refuse to admit, the one that can be a bitter pill to swallow, is this: most men don't lose a woman because she simply lost interest. They lose her because they gave up their own manhood first. They relinquish their masculine frame, their self-respect, their clear purpose, and their unwavering standards in a desperate attempt to keep someone who wasn't truly choosing them anyway. Think about that for a second. It's not about how conventionally attractive you are. It's not about how much money you make. It's fundamentally about how much respect you have for yourself when she starts pulling away. When you beg, when you chase, when you become the emotionally available nice guy who's always there, always forgiving, always understanding of her inconsistencies. You're telling her one thing, loud and clear: I don't value myself enough to walk away. I'm willing to tolerate disrespect for your attention. And that, my friends, is the real reason she distances herself. Because attraction isn't built on chasing. It's built on presence, on unshakable confidence, on unwavering self-respect, and on the quiet, potent ability to stand your ground. The moment you lose that, you lose everything that makes you attractive. Now I know this isn't easy to hear. I know you might be thinking, but what if she really cares and is just going through something? Or, what if I'm overreacting and should just try harder, be more understanding? Here's the reality. You do not owe anyone your precious emotional energy, your time, or your mental bandwidth if they are not willing to meet you halfway with clarity, respect, and consistent effort. And that includes women. If she's consistently pulling away, ignoring you, or acting cold, do not, under any circumstances, fall into the trap of trying to fix it by chasing her harder. Fix it by fixing yourself. Take absolute, unapologetic control of your own worth. Show up powerfully for your own life. Live like the incredible man you want to be, whether she's there to witness it or not. And here's where I want to hear from you. This isn't just a lecture. It's a conversation. What's your story? Have you ever been in this exact situation, where a woman you cared about suddenly distanced herself? How did you react? Did you chase her, pour more energy into her, or did you consciously decide to step back, focus on yourself, and let the chips fall where they may? What worked for you? What utterly backfired? Drop your experiences, your insights, your lessons learned, raw and real, in the comments below. I read every single one. I'm here to connect, to share advice, and to help you rise above the confusion, the pain, and the self-doubt that these situations can breed. Because this isn't just about navigating relationships. It's about becoming the man who no one can ignore. The man who no one wants to ignore, precisely because you refuse, absolutely refuse, to lose yourself in the pursuit of another. So be honest. Be real. Tell me what happened when she pulled away. And together, as a community of men committed to growth and self-mastery, we will figure out how to move forward, stronger, wiser, and more powerfully confident than ever before. Remember, you are not powerless. You are not a victim. You are a man. And a man who respects himself, his time, his energy, and his purpose above all else, is truly unstoppable. If this message resonated with you, if you're ready to reclaim your power and elevate your game, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more uncompromising truths about masculinity, relationships, and self-mastery. And most importantly, share this video with another brother who needs to hear this. Let's build a movement of men who refuse to beg, who refuse to chase, and who commit to becoming their strongest, most attractive selves no matter what. Your journey starts now.